Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer Podcast. I do this every day. Today, meeting Ray Bradbury. But first, let's like, share, and subscribe if you want to support the channel, which you do. The information is in the description for Cash App and Zelle. Let's do this. So, meeting Ray Bradbury. So this happened okay, let me explain who Ray Bradbury is. Ray Bradbury is a influential author, screenwriter. He wrote Fahrenheit 451, The Martian Chronicles, a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I'm a published author myself, but my book, Rand of the Madman, Charlie Greer, Rand of the Madman. You go to Amazon and pick it up, or whoever sells books. You can order it at a bookstore. Who knows? So yeah, this was like 2006, maybe around 2006. A great night. I was in a group signing, which is like, it's a book signing, but it's a group signing. I mean, there was probably 10 other authors. Come here. And so, they have the table set out for you, and you have a little tag for your name and whatever you're doing. And then you have like a stack of books. And this is in Burbank. I don't know if I said that or not. But so on Magnolia in an art gallery. Just to set the. It's a group signing. A lot of douchebaggery going on. It's LA. I mean, it's Burbank, but that's in LA. Right near the studios. There's a lot of no talents. Nepotism, favoritism, cronyism, this, that, and the other. Oh, I know this, the comic book, or anyway. So, at the time, I had a buzz on my book. I'd already talked to screenwriters who, again, it blows my mind that I haven't optioned this book, but there's all this other shit that's involved. That's a bunch of bullshit. It's nothing to do with your talent, this, that, and the other. It's just, it's sad that you have to mosey through all this douchebaggery, but you do. Great night. Packed. Because it was a party going on. Like, the gallery couldn't sell booze, but they'd give it away. And this was a nice gallery. Like stainless steel bar and all these weirdo drinks that they had. Of course, they had like Stella on tap. Stella, I was like, oh, just keep them coming, And of course, I guess everybody was drinking like sailors on shore leave, just free booze. And I'm selling books. See, that was my first mistake, is being popular and charming and this, that, and the other thing, and attracting because these other fools that had taken advances, like big advances, weren't selling shit, overpriced books. And for one, when I first got there, they're like, they all interrogate you, like, oh, who are you with? You haven't taken it. And it's like, whoa, don't be coming at me. So they had kind of already cut me off because I was an independent dude. I'm not one of them. They all worked at these same studios. They all had the same representation that were there. These douchey, agents, lawyer, whoever the fuck they were. And they had promoted it. And somehow, it had been mentioned like on the news, like, hey, if you're in, so around town or something, whatever they call that. Hey, there's a book signing in Burbank, blah, blah, blah. And named the gallery just by a stroke of luck, And the girl promoting it was like, oh my God, she'd been doing it forever. And I guess she had to fax into the news. She'd been doing it over and over, and and then finally they mentioned it. So people were coming and they were like, oh yeah, we saw the, And people come up, approach you. And this dude approach me. I'm like, how do I know him? And I could swear he was with Rory Ackerman, who is he started the Real Monsters or Monsters magazine back in the day. Cool old dude. Like, how is it? And it came up and he bought a book and he had me sign it. And he's Ray Bradbury. I was like, Ray Bradbury. And the people at the table, some knew, most of them didn't know who Ray Bradbury was. I was like, dear God, Ray Bradbury. So I'm actually interrogating him, like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, because I'm not expecting, he's like, oh, I'm a fan, like a fan. He'd already got, he's like, I already have a copy. I've already read your book. Really? You're buying another one? Um, and long story short, I was kind of in awe. And people were like, who's this old man? Because he was older, you know. And some of these people are just cackling fools, these other published authors. By the way, 2 to 3 or what, half of them, whatever, were scared that they're going to have to return the advance because they pulled a, parlor trick to get this big advance, and these lawyers, this, that, and the other. And then the publisher, they didn't sell anything. That's the thing. They've got this like con going, oh yeah, they're going to be great. They're the next so-and-so, this, that, and the other. And they sell like 100 books. And they took like $750,000 advance. Well, they ain't going to, they want their money back. So that's what some of them were complaining. Like, I got to, because that's going to affect their job at the studio or this other. And they were asking me, like, why aren't you like, because what they do is they touch up scripts for like movies or TV shows or whatever. Why don't you do that, Charlie? It's like, well, man, I've been trying, but I don't have like a rich daddy that's going to like, who's a lawyer, who's already done that. He did it. He's a con man. Then his dad was a con man. It's like generations of cons. I don't come from that. I come from like genuine people. Well, that's too bad. So I sold out. I sold the most books. And by then it was so packed that you literally could hardly move. So I ended up hanging out with Ray Bradbury and Ackerman. It was so funny because he first they didn't show him respect. Like, well, who's here? People are like, oh no, he's just, they don't care. They don't care about the lineage. They don't care about like, they don't care. They just don't care. They have no foresight. They're just happy that they conned that money. And some of that money, they could probably live the way they live. Some of these people I get it. You lower your standard, live in a studio apartment. You can do that forever, the rest of your life on $750,000. You just got to do that one big con. A lot of people in LA do that. A lot of people in the publishing world do that. And I remember Ray going down the line. He bought my book. I signed it for him. He was so funny. He was like, oh, this is a cartoon. A comic book. Because all these things are picture, you know what I mean? Oh, this is a picture book. Like, he was literally kind of samurai going through these said authors. So I ended up like back in the corner with Ray Ackerman and a few other people I was with, what have you, and hanging out. And he was so cool. He was like, man, I was telling him like, what are you doing? I live in Burbank. He had seen the news. He'd already had my book. He's like, oh, I got my finger on the pulse of, I know what's going on in lowbrow, underground. I thought that was so cool. But he was an old man by then. I know about you, Greer. I was like, damn, that's so awesome. Ray Bradbury. I read Ray Bradbury. And I respect Ray Bradbury. And this is the thing. When you're doing things, don't be afraid when you're not that popular. Like right now, my podcast ain't that popular. But you attract certain people. I've always done it. I've always had a knack to be like, hey, attract, like minds. And I told him, I said, look, man, before you showed up, I guess he recognized me. Like, yeah, they're at the studio. They're cackling fool. I go, they won't help me out. He's like, well, no, don't. So I told him all this stuff going on and told my what's going on with me. Like, I'm selling books. I'm getting people that are well-renowned, like are fans of mine, but I can't break through that. Yeah, the same thing happened to me, kid. He was saying the same thing. They did to me. And he goes, that's why he was writing. Matter of fact, he was ghost writing, he told me at the time. He didn't want his name on Everybody Loves Raymond. You know what I mean? He was like writing for these shitty TV shows. This is his words. They suck, but it pays good. No. And we kind of had the goings on, people coming around. Certain people knew who Ray Brad, I mean, he's Ray Bradbury, Yeah, he told me, he's like, I live in town. I live in Burbank, close to the studio, touching up scripts. I think it was Roy, because I met Roy Acker. He came to a book signing too. I'm pretty sure this was the night. You can understand, this was back in the day, 2006. I was drinking like by the time he showed up, I probably had 6 to 12 beers. I used to be able to drink like a case of beer and kind of hold my shit. But you kind of forget. Beer. You're you're killing your brain cells with beer. Uh, and back then I used to smoke weed, so I probably had a joint, and we went up back, whatever. God knows what was. And I remember talking to him, and just he was like, "Relax, it's gonna happen." He was actually being really cool, and he was like, "Look, I'm a fan of yours." I was like, "Fan? Like, damn! Like, I'm gonna let it go to my head." And you should have seen all the people that I've been dealing with as far as my book, or hangers on, friends, whoever were at this. Because people used to show, I knew a bunch of people. I knew damn near everybody. How they were like, "Wow!" Like, because they question. They everybody's got their insecurities that they're projecting onto you. Well, how do you do that? It's like, shut up. And still, I had not been paid for my book. And I was telling this to Ray. I was like, they've never paid me yet. To this day, it's been like 19 years, never been paid. He was like, "Yeah, they did the same thing to me." Until I got like lawyers, like a team of lawyers, and you got to keep up on it. And that made me feel better. Like, reassured me that, I'm onto the right. I'm on the right path here, because I'd already and I'll do a podcast about this too. I'd already been tracked down by someone that like worked for Bob Dylan. I know this sounds crazy, but he tracked me down, found where I lived, knocked on my door. He had a briefcase full of my books. He bought books, and he said that Bob Dylan had read my book. I was like, "Really?" Like, I've never met Bob Dylan. I met Jacob Dylan at like the Palladium or something, but I'd never met Bob. And my dad was a huge fan. I love Bob Dylan. He's like, "Yeah, man, Bob's an avid reader. He reads everything. He loved your book. We're going." And this dude, uh, this is another story, but he at first was going to help me, and then he invited me over to his house, and then it's like, "Wait a minute, bro. I don't do, I don't know what the fuck you think this is going. I ain't that fool." And so he never, then he started like again. Then here comes the well, he's hard to deal with. He's this, that, and the other. He's a drunk. He's a junkie. He's a whatever. All of the above. So I'd already had those moments where like, damn, man, I have like these famous people that like my book. What the fuck? How can I kick that door in to get like an advance or do something? Sell my movie rights, something like that. Ray was like, "Yeah, the same thing happened to me. Like, it took, you had to struggle and this, that, and the other. And that's why I like you." And I related to Ray Bradbury. And of course, like getting back to like how people treat you, like all of a sudden, like all these people are kissing your ass. And it's just like, well, what? Most of you were saying, "Well, I might come tonight. I don't know. Like, can I be on the guest list?" That kind of shit. Guest list. Of course, I'd put them on. But it goes back to like sticking to your guns, doing what you believe in, and everything else will kind of follow. I don't do any of this for the fame and fortune, but it'd be nice if when you see people who are like given stuff for nothing, for no talent, and they're talked up. That's another thing. They'll talk up these no talent fools, then contradict everything that your accomplishments. That's coming. If you're anybody out here is listening, get used to that. They will. That's their happy place, is to promote people that then contradict, and just his eyes are too. It has nothing to do with your talent. His eyes are too blue. His feet are too big. What I mean? It's about your book, but they'll just rant and rave and try to pull you down over something that has nothing to do with So when remember that if you're listening out there and you're struggling, you're trying to write a book or start a band or whatever you're doing, that's coming. That'll always be there. You just have to get over it. We're like, "Oh, that's what that is." In the long run, because there's levels of that too. In the long run, they respect you for sticking to your doing your thing. So don't go changing. Don't budge an inch. It's tough. They can get lonely. And they'll literally promote people around you just to kind of fuck with you. That's another thing. They'll get people like, hey, are you a writer? No. Do you want to be? Like, what do you mean? Just throw something together. It's just like, are you kidding me? Are you shitting me? And I've had people up close around me who coattail right off me. And then when they get a little bit of, get to dip their beak a bit, they don't want to have anything. It's just like, well, the reason you even met those people was because of me. And then you're all turning on me. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. Remember, you're going to have to say that a lot. I've said that a lot. You'll continually have to say that. It's going to be in your repertoire, so to speak. But yeah, a great night. On my Facebook, there's a picture of this night because the cover of my book, or used to, I don't even know. They changed my cover. I don't know if they switched it back because somebody was like, yeah, they switched the art for a while. They took me off the cover. So the cover of my artwork is my arm, a tattoo of my arm. Again, Charlie Greer, Ran of the Madman. And in my Facebook, there's a picture of me with my shirt up, and I'm showing my tattoo against a book that I'd signed, like in silver marker. That might be Ray's hand in that picture. I don't know. Because I thought that I took pictures with Ray, but I can't find, and quite honestly, this is in 2006. Everything was starting to digitize, go digital, but people still use physical cameras back then. At least my friends did, There was flip phones and, yeah. But a great night. It kind of fueled me creatively for a while because, for one, in this circle of like the people that I was in the book signing with that were involved in the group book signing, they hate you they didn't have any, man, they had stacks of books. I don't know what they were thinking. I only had one stack. And I sold them all. I sold out. They had multiple stacks. You could barely see them with all these books stacked around. Like, what? You get boxes of unloaded, didn't sell shit. Yet they've taken it, again, advances that are going to have to, I wonder what these people are doing now. Probably on to the next con. They usually get into like, oh, I make baby clothes. I've got a website that sells baby t-shirts that have, quotes from Tarantino movies or something stupid, It's amazing how many people I comment that they end up selling baby stuff or dog stuff, pets or dog. It's just stupid. But yeah, I actually met him again. I met Ray at another book signing. Cool guy. I wish I'd have kept in touch. I see back then I used to use burner phones because I'm not on my phone. You can go get one of these cheap burner phones, whatever. Get 100 minutes in the phone. A lot of times I would just buy it for like $20. That's 100 minutes. I didn't want to refill it, so I just throw it and get another phone because it came with another. Why pay $20 for it? I can go get another. So I went through a lot of numbers, a lot of burner phones. Not for crime or anything, just just being stupid. And back then, cell phones were kind of expensive. It was a thing. I think it was like 10 cents a minute to call and like 10 cents a text. It's like, what the fuck? And I'm not on my phone. I'm not one of those people that like, oh yeah, I hate talking on the phone. I just don't. That's just not what I'd like to do. I don't need to be texting and all this endless shit. But yeah, I don't know how drunk Ray got, but I know I got, I got pretty loaded. Maybe I shouldn't have drank so much in front of him, but he was a Bukowski fan. William Burroughs. We were talking about all these old, some of the authors that I like aren't that popular. Again, I like underground art. I like lowbrow, edgy. I don't like this milquetoast packaged, happy. Again, I'm a happy person. It's just that I like a little grit. I like people that have lived life and experienced things, accomplished things that don't necessarily equate to their bank account. It's more like goals that you set for yourself. Some of these people that have made the most money, they're forgotten. Nobody fucking remembers them. Everybody remembers William Burroughs. Everybody's going to remember Charles Bukowski. But the top authors at the time that they were, nobody remembers. The people that died with millions and stuff like that. So what do you want to be? It's like you want to live your life, or you want to be some forgotten fool that everybody's going to know once you're gone that you were a con. It was part of the game. You just knew how to play the fucking game. And there's levels to this game. Again, there's certain people that they do only thing for money. I mean, anything. You don't want to know. They have no self-worth. They don't know how to, like, overflow themselves. It's just I self me. I can't, so they can brag and talk about, oh yeah, I got my new BMW. Who gives a shit? What about your talent? What about your character? Well, I ain't got none. Yeah. Took those big advances, and now, see, this is another thing I found out about the publishing world, like being a writer. You don't want to mess around. Most of them are out of Manhattan, are all clicked up. I mean, it's a brutal thing. I thought the art world was bad, or the music industry. Publishing and the acting world, publishing might be the most because they know every kind of angle. They're like, damn, we got they conned us. We gave them almost $1 million, and they've sold 100 books. Well, we want to, and that's why it's built. It's written into the contracts. Like it's like, hey, if you don't sell so many books, it's all this, like, if you don't sell like 10,000 books within the first whatever, and if you don't, we're gonna want half of that, 3/4, all of it back. And what they do is they'll probably, declare bankruptcy to try to. I mean, it's just a whole thing. So that night, as I'm talking to Ray, she seemed to be the head of these cackling fools, and she was in the group signing. She was writing, again, their day job is making bank writing for these TV shows, touching up script, whatever. Yeah, she came over, and again, they didn't even know who Ray Bradbury was. All right. They see the goings on. At first, they hated me when I showed up. I wasn't like, oh, they wouldn't even talk to me. And it was uncomfortable sitting there I had to sit at the table with these stupid asses. It all starts changing when here comes, everybody's come to see me. I sold out my books, this, that, so I can leave the table and walk away. They have to sit there at the table. I took my name away. I already sold all my books. I don't want to sit around with all y'all. They have the same kind of background too, same kind of this, that, and the other, out of shape, just dumbasses. But there was the leader of the pack, if you will, was this woman. She's like, hey, can I talk to you? And so she, why aren't you working at the? I was like, well, you know what? Throw me a bone. You know why? Don't be asking me why. And I knew right off the bat, since she wanted to talk, I knew that it was going to be a battle of wits, because she knows that I know that I'm not going to, they can't have me around. I validate their stagnant creative output. That's why. And that's what I told her. No, I don't. Yeah, you do. Well, you're not this and that. Again, she kind of got mad at me because and she literally, well, no, I'm not going to, because had nothing to do with my book, nothing with my talent. It was literally like who I was, like my background. None of it had to do with talent. That's where they get you. Like, well, he doesn't wear khakis, or this stupid shit. That means nothing to anybody. Also, I just spent talking with Ray Bradbury, and he told me the same thing had happened to him. It took him a long time to break through that. And quite honestly, right around this time, right after this, is when I quit promoting my book. After the Bob Dylan fiasco, or whoever, the person that was working with Bob, and then just dealing with these, but I guess and I wouldn't get paid. So if I was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with the book. Yeah, it's brutal. And I already wrote another book. I was gonna, but no, I've never released it. I've never anybody, maybe a few friends read it. They're like, this is even better than, nobody's gonna get it. And it has to, again, it's not that I do this for money. It's just that I'm not gonna stick my hand in the beehive again. Why should I? You'll do without. You're not going to get it from me. Yeah. I'm not the, and honestly, I don't think the first editions of my book are going for They're growing up. It's pretty expensive in my world anyway. Like I've seen my first editions of my book going for like $800, $1,000. Now I didn't know any idea this was going to happen. You understand? When my book came out, they sent me a box of the first editions. I was giving them away, mailing them to friends and stuff back home. I didn't know. My book's basically a pamphlet for the lowbrow underground artist. It isn't like and I deliberately wrote it that way. So literally you could keep it on you. It's not too big. It's like a handbook, a guide, a map, to get you through this like arduous task, which is called life. You know. And then people contacted me like, man, your book, your first editions are, huh? So I put the word, I'm like, look, and I'll tell you that anybody's got a first edition, we'll co-op together. I'll sign it and we'll split the profits. I mean, why not? I don't even own a first edition of my book. I don't even have a book around. I don't keep copies of it. I don't need it. It's just year after year after year. After a while, what was it? Probably 5 or 6 years after it was released, probably around 2009, 2010. Enough. I didn't try to do any more book sightings. I wouldn't talk about it. It's funny because I've done a few things, and some people just know me as an art author. Then other people I know in like the band world or whatever don't even know I have a book, because I'm not out there like, oh yeah, by the way. I mean, I'll tell people if it comes up, but it's just not worth it to me. And I've gotten close. I mean, around like 2009, 2010 was the last effort to. I had a producer that was working in a studio, and she was behind me. She loved it. You're a genius. All this other shit. But we got to that executive level. They didn't like me, who I was, and nothing to the book. They wouldn't even read it. And so to save face, she had to cut me off too. And I get that. If you want to live in that world, fine. You can't have someone like me around that isn't going to like take a daily itinerary for these fools. Well, we want you here. Well, now, if I was getting like good money, I might do it. But for a lure, like a carrot in front of me, no, I'm not gonna. And I'm not gonna go changing. Other people tell me they've censored my book. They've taken stuff out. I don't even know, because I'm not I'm not out there. And they've shaved off reviews. Like I used to have like a lot more reviews on Amazon. They've disappeared. Used to be able to tell where I was selling books, even at Amazon. They had like used copies. You could click on that and show you where they were sold. I don't even know if they do that anymore, because I don't even look into it. But I remember one of the last times that I clicked on it, I was selling like a lot of books in Hawaii. Like Hawaii. Never been to Hawaii. And when I talk, it's just stupid. Matter of fact, I've ranted and raved because I just like try to get my money. Like, man, you guys owe me money. I've talked to lawyers. Like, well, we need a $5,000 whatever retainer, and then we might not get anything done, so we'll need another $5,000. No, I'm not gonna. So the only one that makes money are these lawyers. I ain't gonna be mad, and I don't like dealing with lawyers. Sometimes you have to, but that's not my world. It sucked my creativity out. I'm not. And we're living through the creative dark ages right now. There's nothing going on. This opinionated thing they call, like, I don't even know. People just cackle. I think that's all they do. Their Twitter and this, that, and the other. There's no creative output. It's just opinions. It's propaganda. Of course, they'll say, I wrote a book about what? My opinions. I mean, shit. That ties them to this certain time and place. See, it's one thing when I wrote my book, it's like, it's non-linear as far as like, it's not tying me down to like 2016 election, whatever the fuck it is, ranting about this and that and the other, and political and all that. No, it's universal wisdom that can be applied to anybody. If you read my book, it's just a handbook for life kind of thing, or an artist's life, I should say. It sucks that these milquetoast, below average fools have gotten ahead. And why? Because of the technology, computers and phones, and they They're con men, con women. That's all they do is talk. They don't do any. Granted, I know how stupid that sounds. I'm sitting here talking. I'm doing my podcast, but it's a little different. And they come and go. They're interchangeable. They come, this, that, and the other. And I've known people that's written movies, and I've dated people that I've dated girls that have like successful and this and that. They're up, they're down, they're this, and they'll tell me, they're like, man, I cannot even solicit you, Charlie, because who you are. You know, it's just, you can't. You know, you're not some vanilla safe. You know, you actually have some talent, so that scares people. It's like, okay, fine, you get used to that. It's like, no, it's about talent. No, it's not. It's about doing favors. It's about sticking to an itinerary. It's about you know, martini parties and all this shit that it makes me. It's just disgusting. It makes me nauseous to think about it. And so I'm sorry about that rant. So that night, I mean, meeting Ray Bradbury is probably one of the top. It was honestly, it's worth some of the shit I went through just to hang out with Ray. So that first night we connected, I saw him again. I think it was another book signing because I did a few in Burbank, and you got to forgive me because I used to literally drink like a case of beer a day. Maybe that's another reason why they want to deal with me, because I'm a real person. I'm kind of like Charles Bukowski or William Burroughs. I'm one of those guys that, like, yeah, you'll read their book, but at the time, see, I've mellowed out and sobered up, but they can hang with my, you know, and I catch people on their verbal interrogate. I'll just verbally, you know, deconstruct a fool, you know, and their said no talent. You know, they think that they, you know, and their daddies, you know, oh, my uncle, my daddy, and then shit, you know, has nothing to do. Nobody's going to remember these people. They all look sickly in their, you know, they have no character. They have no game. They have no, like, anything besides these behind the scenes, like, covet means, if you will. People behind pulling their strings, or other people, you know, it's a parlor game. It's a boardwalk scam. Everything now, that's what that is. You can't do anything now. Everything's rigged. You understand what I'm saying? Everything. And unfortunately, I'm not a snitch, but if I'm in that situation, I'll let them know it. I'll keep my mouth shut. Usually I'm a quiet dude. But man, if you start, no. So you can't have me around. I get it. But they have no following besides their friends and their family. You know what I'm saying? They just know how to steal money. People love me. You know, they've never influenced anybody. See, that's the power, is your influence. Forget about what home you got and the money and this, that, and the other. It's your character. Does anybody want to be like you? No. Never gonna. That's where the real power is. Your influence. And sadly, Ray passed in 2012. Love you, Ray. Rest in peace. Thank you. Thank you, brother. And to attract someone like Ray Bradbury, who claimed to be a fan that night, that's his second book, huh? He said, my finger's on the pulse. I know, but that's what even as an older man, he was still knew what was cool. Because it's a small creative world. If you start doing something really good, you'll people know. The real people will know. So hang in there. Don't budge an inch. Take a book out of Charlie Greer's book. Take a page out of Charlie Greer's book. Rant of the Madman. Of course, Rant of the Madman you can get anywhere. They're not paying me. And let them know. Contact these fools. But yeah, I do this every day. Please like, share, and subscribe. That's the best way you can support the channel, is to like, skip, share, and subscribe. Tell somebody. If you do want to support the channel, which you do, the information's in the description for Cash App and Zelle. And I love y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. That's right. That's right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.